Hey there, today we'll be building an order management dashboard for a clothing company. We'll be using Next.js 14, Tailwind CSS, and Nivo Charts. Our application will be fully mobile responsive using industry best practices. Let's take a tour of what we're going to build. We'll start off by building the header and left nav component. These components will control our navigation depending on the view. We then build our order tracker component. This will track our customer orders and include data about the purchases. It will also be mobile responsive and have a condensed view for phones. We'll then jump into our analytics page. This page will track analytics about our orders. We'll use Nivo Charts to build these interactive displays. Finally, we'll build the home page. This will be a summary of important order information and analytics. With that, let's jump into VS Code and start coding. I'm starting with an empty folder in VS Code. Let's go to the Shadcn UI documentation to start the project. So let's go to Docs, Installation. Let's follow the Next.js. And we're going to follow this guide. So let's copy this, paste into the terminal. I'll retry this. And then no for source directory, yes for app router, no for import alias. Now let's cd into our app and continue this. So let's install Shadcn UI now. And then New York theme and neutral. And yes for CSS variables. Now let's add the Shadcn UI components. And I'm going to delete button off of this so I get all of them. And hit A for all. And this will take a minute to load. Cool, so that finished. Now let's run our project with npm run dev. And let's go to localhost 3000 now. And sweet, we can see our project there. Now let's clean up our project a bit. So I'm going to delete all this code. And just make a div that says hello. And sweet, we see that. Now let's see if we can have the Shadcn UI components. So I'll just add a button from Shadcn UI as a test. So cool, that's working too. Now let's work on creating a folder structure. So I'm gonna create a new folder in here called core. And we're gonna move our page into it. And that doesn't change anything because it's in the brackets, so it's still the same URL. And in here, we're gonna have our different page routes. So this one's gonna be analytics. And we'll add a page in here. Let's create that. And now we see analytics works as a route. And let's create order tracker as a different page route. And create a page in there. And we can see that also works. And now we're gonna have a layout in here too. So let's create that. And it's gonna accept children. And these are gonna be of type React Node. So all of our pages are going to get rendered inside of this. So let's put the children in here. And let's test if it's working. So we're just gonna set the BG to blue 100. And cool. We can see how the pages are loaded inside of it now. Now we can add our light and dark mode theming. So let's go into layout and then jump back into the Shadcn UI documentation. And let's go to dark mode, and then Next.js, and let's install this. So we'll cd into our app, install, and then we have to create this theme provider component. So let's go to components, and then new file, and then theme provider.tsx. I'll paste that in. And now we got to wrap our root layout with it. So we'll go to this first layout, and then we'll put it right there. So I'll paste this in now. And then close it off, and I have to import it. Cool, so that should work now. Now let's work on building our header component. So let's go to components, and then new file, then header.tsx. And I'll create that here. And we'll start off by defining the interface. So header props, and then set sidebar. And this is going to be open, which is going to be a Boolean that returns void. And then is sidebar open, which is just going to be a Boolean. And let's pass those in here. And header props. And then const set theme, and then use theme. This is going to be from the theme we just defined. And then const path equals use path name. This will be from the URL, and we'll use that to highlight buttons. So let's delete this. So class name, min height 12, width full, flex, justify between, items center, and padding x 6. Then we'll make another div in here. It's going to be class name, flex, items center, gap 6. And then in here we have our buttons. So button on click, equals, and then here's the function. Set sidebar. That was error with, oh, set sidebar open. Yeah, there we go. Set sidebar open. And then opposite of is sidebar open. Cool. So now let's define, make sure we import this from Shadcn UI. And there's also an error with that name, so I'll fix that. Cool. So now I'll define the variant. It's going to be ghost. And size of small. And then class name, hidden, medium, block. And let's say the button name is going to be hamburger menu icon of class name h6 with 6. And then a div, class name, medium, hidden, flex, gap 2, item center, and then this is going to be a link. And these are going to be the buttons on a mobile device. So it's going to be pass href. Make sure I import this. And we'll say button from Shadcn UI. And then it's going to be home. And then variant. It's going to be different depending on what path name it's on. So if we're on the home screen, then we're going to have it default. Otherwise, secondary. This will make it so it's highlighted if we're on that screen. And then let's copy this. And we'll paste this a couple times. And this one's going to be order tracker. And this one's going to be analytics. And let's fix the links. So order tracker, and then analytics, and analytics. Now let's create the second part of the header, which is the light and dark mode. And we're going to get this just from this Shadcn UI documentation. So we'll go to that now. And it's just going to be on dark mode page. And then we'll copy and paste it from the bottom. And this is the component. So let's copy this. And we're just going to paste that in here. And then we have to import all of these. So I'll just import all these from Shadcn UI. And these are just icons from Radix UI. Cool, so we got that done. And now let's work on displaying the header. So let's go into layout. And then first we're going to use state. So we're going to do const is sidebar open, and then set sidebar open. And that's going to equal use state. And we're going to default it to true. And then right above here, we're going to put our header. And then is sidebar open equals is sidebar open. And set sidebar open equals set sidebar open. And make sure it says use client at the top. And sweet, we can see it showing up here. So you can see how it changes when we go in. And it looks like there's an issue with our light and dark mode, but we can fix that in a second. So let's go into our header, and then we're going to change these imports, and we're going to move them to the Shadcn UI import. We accidentally imported from Radix UI. And now it should work. Cool, so we have the right component there now. And light and dark mode's working. And now we're gonna set the theme for our project. So let's go into the documentation, then the themes. And we're gonna use this purple theme. So it's gonna be violet, 1, and then dark. And we can then copy this code. And in the global CSS, we're going to delete these layer bases and put the new one in. And we'll refresh this. Now we can see our themes working. You can see the button changed. And we'll also delete this BG Blue 100. So now we can just see our theme. And we can see how they change when they go in, and then there's dark mode, and the different pages change the routes. Now we can work on our Left Nav component. So let's go back into VS Code, and then we're gonna go to new file, and it's gonna be leftnav.tsx, and I'll create that here. And then at the top, we're going to do a const path equals use path name, and this will get the route from the URL. And then class name flex call. There we go. And then min width 72, gap 3, padding 2, padding top 6, max height, screen, and we'll have a div inside of it after this H1. And this is going to say manage orders. That's going to be class name, text 3XL, text center, and then under this we're going to have our links. So it's going to be to an href, and this route's just going to be nothing. And inside of this we're going to have a Shadcn UI button. So for the variant, we're going to base this on the path name. So on right there, a home route, it's going to be default, and then otherwise secondary, and then class name with full, and this is going to say home. This is the path name default is so it's highlighted on the home screen, and we're going to copy and paste this for 2 other buttons. And this one's going to be order tracker. So we got to correct the routes and also the button name. And this one's going to be analytics. So we'll fix that, and we also fix it there. And then change the button name to analytics. So that's everything for the left nav. Let's go into the layout and then display it. So we'll start off by styling the outer div. So flex call, width screen, height screen, and then under this header, we're gonna remove this children, add it later. We're gonna have a div, and it's going to be class name, flex, auto, flex. And a div inside of here that says class name, hidden, medium, block. And then inside here, we'll display the sidebar. So if the sidebar is open, then we'll show the left nav. And that's going to come from our useState variable. And we set that in the header. And under here, we're going to display our children. So it's going to be class name, flex, auto, P8. And then in here is going to be our children. And that should work now. And cool, we can see how it's showing up and how the left nav goes away on the smaller device. And we can change the left nav with this button up here. And we can also see light and dark mode. It also works. Sweet. Now let's jump back into VS Code. And we're going to work on the orders component. So let's go up to components, new file. And we'll call this orders.tsx. And I'll create that. And we need data for this. I'm going to copy and paste it in. It's just going to be the items in the orders. And it's going to be name, email, type, status, date, amount. You can just generate this with ChatGPT or manually. So now I'll go into here and I'll delete this. And it's going to be a card component from Shadcn UI. And inside we'll have a card header with a class name px7. And inside of here we'll have a card title. And that's going to be orders. And under that, card description of recent orders from your store. And under here, it's going to be card. Outside. This is going to be the card body. So it's going to be card content. And then class name, max height, 650 pixels. And then overflow auto. And then in here, we're going to have our table. So this is going to say table, header, and then table, row. And inside here, it's going to be table, head. And the thing is going to say customer. And we got to fix this import. So it's going to be table row from Shadcn. And this is going to be table, head, class name, hidden, small, table cell. And these are just going to be the titles for our table. And I'm going to copy this one, paste that below, paste it again, and I'll change this to status, and this one to date. And then I actually need another one that's going to have a different class name. And it's going to say text, right. And this is going to say amount. And below this, we're going to have our table content. So it's going to be table body. And then in here, we're going to map through our orders. and it's going to say orders and index. And inside here, it's going to be a table row. And we need a key, which is going to be the index. And we need the table cell, which is just an individual item in the table. And we're going to put a div in it of class name font, medium, and then order dot name. And make sure we have table cell imported. And then below the div, we have class name hidden, text small, text muted, foreground medium, inline. And this is going to be our order email. And we'll just copy this for the other table cells. And paste that in. We're actually just write this because it's a little bit different. So it's going to be class name hidden, small, table cell. And then order type. And now we're going to have table cell, class name hidden, small, table cell. And this is going to be a badge in here. So from UI badge, which is Shadcn UI, and we'll import that. And then we're going to style this. And we're going to use CN, which is from utils, which allows us to combine styles. So it's going to be text small, text white, and then comma. And this is going to be BG yellow, 500, if the order status, not status equals shipping. So we're gonna have different colors depending on the status of the order. And then BG violet 700. And then order status equals fulfilled. So we have different colors depending on each one, and we have to import CN. And we're also going to have text in this cell, but the variant's going to be order status equals fulfilled. Then we'll use variant secondary. Otherwise, it's going to be outline. And the text is going to be order.status. And under here, we're going to have another table cell. And this is class name is going to be hidden, medium, table cell, and then order date. And then under here is going to be a table cell, class name, text, right, And this we're gonna do special, so it's gonna be $, order, amount, to fixed, to. So this is gonna allow 2 digits of the order amount. And that's done. So now we can add that to our page. And we can see orders. We'll import that. And if we go to our order tracker, I'll refresh it. I'll make sure I save. And make sure I save this. Reload. There's our table. And we can also see it works in dark mode too. And scrollable. And you can see how these are highlighted in different colors depending on the status. Now let's work on building our pie component. So let's go to components, new file, pie.tsx. And we'll create that there. And this is gonna have pie data, so it's gonna be const pie data equals. And then it's gonna have an ID, a label, and a value. And we're gonna have multiple, so this will have an ID of shirts, label of shirts, and then value 2419. And you can just make this data up, but this one's gonna be shoes, label shoes, and then a value of 1,407, and then ID of jacket, label jackets, and then value of 4,474. And then the final one can just be ID shorts, label shorts, and then value 3,371. And now we can use Nivo Charts to create this. So first we have to install the Nivo Charts package. So I'll cd into my app and then do npm I at Nivo Pi. And we got that installed now. So in here I'll have class name, height, 475 pixels, width, 475 pixels. And in here we're going to put our chart. So it's going to be responsive, pi, and make sure that imports properly. I don't think it worked, so I'll just do it manually. Import and responsive. I don't know, from at Nivo Pi, there it is. And I think that's working. I think we're just missing the props. So now we just have to put in our data prop, which is going to be pi data. And there's going to be a lot of different props. So we're going to have margin equals brackets, top 40, right 80, bottom 80, left 80, and we'll have inner radius 0.5. Pad angle 0.7. Corner radius 3. This data can also be got from their website. I'm just going to code it out here though. And then border width 1. Border color from color, and then modifiers darker 0.2, and then arc link labels skip angle, and this is going to be 10. Then arc link labels text color equals, and this is going to be a hexadecimal, so 9C10F. I typed it wrong. Oh, no brackets. 9C10 F7, and then arc link labels thickness equals 2, and then arc link labels color from color, and then arc labels skip angle 10, and then arc label text color equals from colors modifiers, and then darker 10. And then theme, tooltip, container, and then background C87DFF. And then we're going to fix this. We don't need this other part. I'll just put the slash there. And that's it for the responsive pie. So let's go into analytics now to display it. So I'll delete the page, and then I'll put our pie component. And let's go to the analytics now. Oh, it has to be a use client, so I'll fix this. And I'll also fix that here. Cool, so we got our pie showing up. And we can see all of our different items. And it also works in light mode too. Now let's work on building our funnel component. So I'm gonna go to components, new file, and then funnel.tsx. And here I'll create the component. And I'm just gonna import this data. So I'll copy and paste it here. And you can create this yourself, ID, value, and label. And we're gonna need a different package from Nivo Charts. So I'll cd into our app. And then npm I at Nivo funnel. And I'll import it now. So responsive funnel. And from Nivo funnel. And now let's go class name with full, flex auto, and inside we'll put our funnel. So responsive funnel. And make sure this is imported correctly. And now we have to get our data. And we'll set that equal to the data we imported. And then margin, top 20, right 20, bottom 20, left 20. And then value, format of greater than /.4 seconds. And this data can be getting from their website too, but I'll just write it out. And then colors, scheme, spectral. And it looks like we have an error here. I don't think it's reading properly. Oh, we're missing the C. So there we go. And then border width, 20. Label color, black. Before, separator, length, 100. Before separator offset, 20. And after separator length, 100. And then after separator offset, 20. And current part size extension, 10. And current border width, 40. And then motion config, wobbly. And then theme, tooltip, and then container, and backface or background. 9C10F7. And I think that's it. So now we can go into our analytics and see if this works. So we'll do div funnel. And it looks like it's not showing up. So we'll set a class name width 96, height 96. And then make sure this is use client. See if that worked. Okay, it's still not showing up. I think if we remove this, and then we're just gonna set the height here. There's an issue with the flex auto before our other divs surrounding it. So we'll set width 500px and height 500px. And cool, now we see our funnel showing up. And you can see the process of website views, and then down to add to cart, down to bot. And it also shows up in dark mode. Now let's work on making our stats card. So let's go into VS Code, components, new file, and then stats card. And we'll create that here. And this is gonna have an interface of stat card props. And it's gonna be a title of string, value, string, and then percentage is just gonna be another string. And we'll pass those into our component. So I've typed stat card prop. And now let's style it. So the outside will be a card component from Shadcn UI. And inside we'll have a card header of class name flex row, item center, justify between, and space y 0, padding bottom 2. And we'll have a card title inside here of class name text small, font medium, and this is going to be our title. And below the card header, we're going to have our card content. And this will be a div of class name text 2XL, font bold, and this will be our value. And below that we'll have a P of class name text extra small, text muted, foreground, and this will be our percentage. And I have to fix where the bracket is, so I'll place that there. And there we go. And that's it for our stat card. And let's just display this right below the pie. So it'll be stat card. There it is. And then title. We can just call this of title will just be title. Then we need a value. And then a percentage. And we just say 10% for now. And let's see how that looked. So cool, we see our stat card showing up. It'll look different once we position everything on the page. So we can also see it works in light mode. And now let's work on structuring our analytics page. So I'm gonna delete all this. And then go class name, grid, span 4, medium, grid, cols 8, medium, grid, rows 8, height full, and then gap 2. And then in here we'll have another div, and it'll be class name, hidden, medium, block, span 2, row span 2. And inside this we'll have our stat card, and it'll have title, add, impressions, value 6,000 or 6,279,000. And we'll close off that tag. And then percentage. That'll be plus 34.3%. And let's just duplicate this stat card now. So I'll copy and paste it a couple times. And then I just have to go in here and change the values. And you can make this whatever you want it to be, but I'll just do website, views. We'll change that to a different number. And this can be a different percentage change. And I can change this one to order size. And we can just make up a number. And we can change this to minus 6.2%. And this one can be cost to acquire a customer. And that can be $12. So there we got our card components on screen. And now let's add on our funnels and pie. So it's going to be inside a card. And this will have class name hidden, medium block, col span 4, row span 6. And make sure we have the card imported. And in here we'll have a div of class name, height full, flex call, and this will have a card header. And a card title of funnel analytics. And a card description of conversion rate of each step in funnel. Now let's work on adding the funnel. So below this card header, right here, we're going to do my responsive, or no, just funnel, because we created a component. And why isn't this importing? Oh, we already had it imported. Then another card component, and this is going to be class name, col span 4, row span 6, and inside we're going to have a div with class name, height 6, and height full actually, flex call. And then in this div, we're going to have a card header and a card title, and items sold will be the name. And then for the card description, we'll do items sold by category. And below this card header, let's have a div with class name, with full, flex auto, flex justify, center. And then in this div, let's put our pie chart. And sweet, we can see the analytics dashboard working now. We still have to fix the funnel, but it looks pretty good. And we can see it's fully responsive, and just the pie shows up on mobile. Now let's fix the funnel so it's to full width. So let's go into funnel, and we're going to delete these and say width full, flex auto. And now we can see this the funnel spans its whole card, and it's looking pretty good now. And now we just have to work on finishing the home page. So let's go back into VS Code and go to this root page, and we can delete this button now. And we'll do class name, grid, col span 4, medium, grid, cols 8, medium, grid, rows 8, width full, gap 2, and we'll have a div inside of it, and this will be class name, hidden, medium, block, medium, col span 4, row span 8, and inside this div we'll put our orders. And below this we'll put another div with class name, medium, col span 2, and this will have our stat card, and it'll have a title of net profit, a value of $73,421, and a percentage of plus 13.6%. And now we just have to close out the stat card. Oh yeah, the due from last month. And that's finished now. And I'll copy and paste the stat card. And we'll have a couple more of them, so we have 4 total. And now we can just change these to other business metrics. So this will be total revenue. This can be a different amount. And we can change this percentage. Change this one. Oops, wrong character. And change this percentage. And our final one can be items sold. And I'll delete the $sign. And cool. So now let's put in a div below it, and this is going to be class name, hidden, medium, flex, col span 4, row span 4, items, center, and then justify center. And inside of this, we'll put our pie. Make sure it's imported. Cool, so there we have it. Now we can go to our home page, and sweet. And that's the end of the project. Thanks for following along. We can see how it looks beautiful on mobile and desktop.